Welcome back to Comics with Drew. I'm Drew, and today is my review of Batman Beyond the White Knight. Okay, so this is an interesting book because for me, I've never watched Batman Beyond. In fact, actually, I think I may have seen maybe a snippet or two of it, and it was not interesting to me because, like I have said many times before, to me, Batman is Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is Batman. And I have no interest in watching some other person prance around whatever version of Gotham and pretend to be Batman that is not actually Batman. That's a totally different character. Character is important to me, and it's important that characters remain true to who they are as a character and how they're defined. So I was never interested in Batman Beyond at all. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't a good cartoon. I'm sure that a lot of people love the cartoon, and I'm sure that a lot of people love the subsequent comic book series about it. I never read it because I didn't care, because to me, it's not Batman, all right? So, bottom line is, I was never interested in that. Furthermore, I never read Batman White Knight, and because, another weird thing for me is just, I don't like this whole weird collar thing for Batman. It's just, again, I guess I'm like a child when it comes to food. With a child like food, kids only eat chicken nuggets, and that's all they ever want to eat. They refuse to eat anything else that's a different color or anything else. And that's kind of like me for Batman. Batman looks a certain kind of way, and when you start adding a bunch of different weird things to him, to me, it's not like Batman. Actually, it kind of reminds me of Voltron. So, for those who remember, Voltron, there's two kinds of Voltrons, right? There's the Lion Voltron, which I call correct or real Voltron, and then there's this Car Voltron, which is basically a different cartoon that was repurposed from Japan and called Voltron because they thought that they could pass that off on unsuspecting kids in the 80s. And I was not an unsuspecting kid in the 80s. If I see robot lions and then I see cars, well, if you ask any 6-year-old boy what's cooler, giant robot lions or cars, they're gonna go with giant robot lions every single time. It's just the way things are, guys. So consequently, I didn't like that Voltron. I didn't call it real Voltron. Whenever I saw it, I come on TV when I got home from school, I was like, no, I'm not gonna watch this. This is not Voltron. So again, I'm very particular about Batman. So, and that's what brings me back to the odd, peculiar circumstance that I find myself in which I am reading a Batman Beyond the White Knight. It's like everything that I don't like about Batman rolled into one thing. Now, what kind of cosmic calamity could have occurred that could have conspired for this to arrive on my drafting table? Well, I'll tell you this. It's Comics by Perch. That's SOB. He interviewed Sean Murphy, and Sean Murphy seemed cool, and everybody raves about this book. And I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna go ahead and take a look at it. And I saw the cover, and the cover does look cool, okay? I mean, it's got Batman Beyond, and it's got this other weird kind of Batman. Now, trust me, I understand that this is a totally alternate universe. This is like a pocket universe where Sean can do whatever he wants to do. And in this case, and by the way, since I know this is the first book I've read by Sean Murphy, right? So I am going into this totally blind. I'm totally blind, not knowing what to expect. I know there was some concern and there was much consternation about a race swap with the Batman Beyond character, which is, I believe his name is Terry. And so people were upset because now he's like apparently half Asian and instead of apparently, I guess, Irish, if I'm not mistaken. So I know there's lots of people that have lots of apprehension about it, and I know there's a lot of people out there that just won't buy the book. But, I am not of that persuasion. I will buy a book if I think it's a good book. I don't care. It has to be just a good book, and it has to not insult me, and it has to not lecture me. So those are very key components. So if we can get past those things, then I'll try it. But people keep talking about how great Sean Murphy is, and I'm like, well, the art looks awesome. I do dig the art. So I said, you know what, screw it. I impulse buy. I called my local comic shop, which is a comic shop in Winter Park, by the way. I have several comic shops that I go to, but the one that is my like official home-based shop, in my opinion, is A Comic Shop. That's all it's called. It's just called A Comic Shop, and it's in Winter Park, and Aaron runs it. Aaron Holland. He's a really cool guy. So anyway, but Kyle there hooked me up with a copy, and they kept the store open just a little bit later for me. So I want to make sure I say that and give them props for being awesome and having great customer service. But anyway, so I swung in there real quick. I picked up a copy and I just read it, and it is a great book. It really is. I'm not going to come in here with any baggage on this, right? The book looks amazing. The art is amazing. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, I'm reading it and I'm like, I have no expectation. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened previously. So I am walking into this total there's a movie called Four Rooms, right? And in that movie, and it's an anthology movie, so I think it's got four, it's Four Rooms. It's four little short features directed and written by different people, and one of the rooms is or one of the features is called The Misbehavers, and it's about these kids and about how they torture the bellhop who's running this hotel, and they do all kinds of terrible things, and they wind up coming across the body of a lady of the night, and they find some needles, and they set the room on fire, and the bellhop goes in there, and it's just a total catastrophe of what's going on. And Antonio Banderas, who's the superimposing father of the kids, comes in, opens the door just as everything is at its climax of insanity, and the only thing he says is, did they misbehave? So I kind of feel like Antonio Banderas walking into this and thinking, man, this is like a total catastrophe. I don't know what's going on here, but I just don't want them to misbehave, right? So if you are not familiar, basically the plot here is that this is a much older Bruce Wayne. Apparently he's given up his fortune, and he's basically forsaken the life of Batman because he doesn't apparently think that Batman is successful or is going to be good at trying to cure Gotham of all its ills, right? So he's apparently he's in prison, but he's got all these different kind of like hookups with people who respect him, and there's a lot of great writing and a lot of great dialogue here. And ultimately there's a guy who breaks in, and I believe this is Terry. He breaks into the old Batcave at the behest of this guy who's like a crime lord running Gotham, as you know, Gotham is wont to be run by crime lords all the time. But anyway, this corporate crime lord, and I know it's kind of a cliche, but the guy basically took all the money from Gotham and that was supposed to be used for charities and for altruistic adventures. It took that and used it for his own selfish gain, and sent Terry, who is apparently some sort of salvage guy, and Terry stole the Batman suit, the Batman Beyond suit, and so now he's out there in the wild with the Batman Beyond suit. Meanwhile, Bruce is still in prison, and he's making sure everybody's playing nice with each other, and then he winds up realizing that the Batman Beyond suit's out there and it's running around. Whoever's got it is running around and can kill people and be dangerous. So Bruce decides that now's the time he's gonna break out of prison, and that's pretty much the plot of the book. And meanwhile, we have a bunch of other things going on. We have basically new introductions to all these different characters that you are familiar with. Like Harley is in the book, Joker is obviously in the book, and you got Jason Todd and Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon, and Commissioner Gordon is referenced. So, there's a lot of cool things going on. It's kind of like it's really like an alternate universe version of Batman. And I understand that a lot of people have already read about this and they know this, but I've not. So I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm just talking from the point of view of someone who is walking into this, not having any exposure to it before. And if you're the kind of person that has not read any of this stuff before, then I think this book would be good for you. So if you don't have any kind of, preconceptions about what Batman should be, and you just want a really fresh take on things that is completely untethered from main Batman continuity, this might be your jam, right? So I'm going to tell you, I like the book. It's a Black Label book. It's a little bit more expensive because of that. I think it's $5, right? Yeah, it's $5. But it's a standard book, it's a standard floppy size, and it's fantastic. So it's got a really good start to the story. The art looks amazing. Sean Murphy is a phenomenal artist. There is no question about that. I can't, find any kind of fault with what he's doing. And I mean, ultimately, you can't argue with this cover. I mean, this may go down as one of the greatest covers for a comic book ever, just because of the way it's composed. So, I mean, it's just a beautiful cover, right? And you got a little moon there. I mean, this could be a great movie poster. So, if you just like amazing covers, just buy this book just for the cover in and of itself. So, that being said, the art is fantastic. It's got a good Gotham vibe. I think that's what's standing out to me about this book, is that Murphy understands the vibe of what Batman should be, right? When you're reading a Batman book, there should be a kind of atmosphere about it, right? And there should be a kind of, this is the feel, and it's not too dark, and it's not too bright, it's not too pretty, but it just hits that sweet spot. It's kind of like chocolate peanut butter. It's like Reese's peanut butter cups. It just hits that smart balance, and I feel like this book does that. I'm not going to get into a culture war bitch fest about stuff, okay? I'm just not, right? So I'm just going to give people straight opinions about books. So I don't care what other kind of nonsense is going on. Twitter is a flaming cesspool. Yes, I'm on Twitter. I have no standards, but I will tell you, this book seems to be a good book, from my opinion. I am not seeing any kind of stuff that really should concern anybody whatsoever. It looks like it's just a straightforward, good story. And if you're there for a good time, and there's just not too many good times to be had in a lot of comics these days, this is one for you. So I guess, I think this is what Black Label is for, really. It's just an opportunity for guys to have like their own kind of playground. Not all Black Label books are created equal, obviously. There are some that probably ought to be like thrown in a trash can. But not this one. This is a good one. And also not the one Dark Knight stuff by Jock. That's amazing stuff. Bottom line, I'd give this 4 out of 5 stars, really. The art is phenomenal. I mean, Murphy is just crushing the art. Dude is amazing. And, the colors are great. It's a balanced color. It's just a good looking book. It's a really good looking book. So I highly recommend that you pick it up, give it a whirl, see what you think. It is book 1. I don't know how many books are in this series. Let's see here. Does it say? No, it just says book 1. So, oh, by the way, I was talking earlier about, in another video about color and black and how to use it properly when you're doing something dark. And notice here, you've got a ton of black here, but none of it's bleeding over into all the different panels. There's not really any kind of crazy out of control gradient stuff going on this book. So it's just, you got lots of blues and grays and just cool colors that are allowing you to see darkness, right? I mean, there's a flashlight, but you can easily see all the stuff that's going on here, right? You can easily see that, and you can even see the moon. This is great color, right? And this is wonderful line work that's accentuated. You've got the foreground, the middle ground, and the background with the warms for the light. This is the way comics are meant to look. So if you're gonna do like a book that features dark characters and dark environments, this is what you should be looking for. You should pick up this book just so you can have an idea of what to look for to make your comic look amazing. So that's just a little bit of a crowdfunding an aside. But again, Batman Beyond the White Knight by Sean Murphy with Dave Stewart, book 1, DC Black Label. It's only $5. It's worth your $5, and it's a phenomenal book. So that's all I have to say about that. So anyway, again, this has been Comics with Drew. I'm Drew. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.